Hey, what's up, people? Pizzal here, and can we talk about The Walking Dead and why their ratings are declining? And let me preface this entire video by saying that I have tuned out of The Walking Dead pretty much entirely. I was a huge fan of the first season of the show. Season two was season two, and really beyond season two of the show, it's all just kind of a mush in my mind. And I tuned out around the midway point of season five, and I've really never wanted to go back. I've never really wanted to revisit the show. I felt burnt out. I felt that the show had become dull and repetitive, that every season was pretty much exactly the same. You had the survivors. They go out into the post-apocalyptic zombie wasteland. They come across other survivors. Some survivors are good. Some survivors are evil. A zombie pops up here and there. There's drama, rinse, and repeat. So at the end of season six, when they left us on that big cliffhanger as to who did Negan kill, I did a video entitled "Has The Walking Dead Jumped the Shark?" And in that video, I said that the showrunners of The Walking Dead have really painted themselves into a corner with this cliffhanger ending, and that they really needed to come out in season seven, for lack of a better term, swinging. That they couldn't just kill off the new guy or the new girl or somebody they picked up last season or even the season before. That they really needed to come out and shock the audience. They needed to kill off somebody, one of those last remaining season one survivors. They had to go. Fast forward to the season seven premiere. I'm watching because I want to see what's going to happen. I want to see, will The Walking Dead jump the shark or not? And spoilers, when Negan kills Abraham, I was kind of like, They played it safe. They didn't kill one of the newbies, but they didn't go far enough back. They killed somebody who, he was a character who was well liked by the fans. He'd been around for a while. He'd been an integral part of the crew, but I kind of felt like they played it safe. Then Negan turned around and killed Glenn. And not just killed Glenn, but killed him in a very brutal and graphic manner. And I said, yes, exactly. That's exactly what they needed to do. They did the right thing. They did the gutsy thing. They've slapped the audience in the face and they've said, okay, heads are going to roll or be split in two. Either one. And anybody can die at this point. Doesn't matter if they're one of the season one survivors. Doesn't matter who they are. Everybody's life is on the line now. And I think they wanted to build up Negan as being this, the most evil character that the show has ever seen. Of all the bad guys on The Walking Dead, they wanted to build up Negan as the baddest of the bad. So I felt like the showrunners had done the right thing and the gutsy thing. The audience, not so much. The response from the audience was anger. The response from the audience was revolt. And the two major criticisms that I've heard of season seven, because I've not watched beyond that the season premiere episode, is that A, they killed off Glenn. And not just that they killed off Glenn, but they killed him off in such a graphic, savage kind of way. And number two, Negan is over the top. He's less a bad guy and more of a comic book supervillain. And now granted, watching the season seven premiere, there were a couple of moments where even I kind of went, he's a little bit over the top. But now, I think the problem with people being upset with Glenn's death, and I think it's twofold, really. I think it's twofold. Number one, I think those people who are upset about Glenn's death are non-horror people. They are the audience that The Walking Dead crossed over into pop culture and grabbed and pulled into the horror world for at least in The Walking Dead horror world. I think a lot of horror fans, lifelong horror fans like myself, if they're still tuned into the show, if they still care about the show, if they ever cared about the show, probably thought, yep, that's the right move. Oh, and that was a really good practical makeup effect. And number two, and I have to defend the showrunners here. I think the showrunners wanted to create heat, if I can use a wrestling parlance. I think they wanted to upset the audience. I think they wanted to not give the audience what the audience wanted and lead them on. So when they eventually do, when Rick or when Maggie or when whoever turns the bat on Negan and turns his head into brain salad, they're going to be right there with that character, just eating it up, just eating up handfuls of that brain salad. And now Entertainment Weekly did an article talking about the ratings decline for the show, and I'm going to read some of it now. It's almost like somebody is taking a baseball bat to The Walking Dead's ratings. AMC's mega hit fell sharply after its 7th season premiere last month and has declined steadily each week since, to mark the steepest ratings fall in the show's history. In fact, Sunday's 5th episode of the season delivered the show's lowest viewership since season 3. Now, the season 7 premiere drew in 17 million viewers. Episode 2 drew in 12.5 million viewers. Episode 3 drew in 11.7. Episode 4 drew in 11.4. And Episode 5 drew in 11 million. So the ratings are going down. Now, granted, and the author of this article notes, 11 million viewers is nothing to shake a stick at. That still makes The Walking Dead the most viewed television series, the most popular television series in the country. But the ratings decline. I don't think it's simply just a matter of fans being upset with the direction of season 7. Those fans that have left will come back. Those fans who are feeling, the heat, they will come back. It's fans like myself who's probably, we're probably a smaller percentage of that ratings drop off. The fans like myself who just grew tired of the show, who just felt that it was becoming stale and repetitive and just could not care less. I think that is a percentage, certainly a percentage of the ratings decline, and a percentage that it will continue to grow as the show progresses. And keep in mind, this is the 7th season of the show. The show's been on for 7 years. So it's been a pretty extended zombie apocalypse. And again, to kind of defend the showrunners, I'm not sure what else they can necessarily do with this type of show. I'm not sure how different they can make really each season. They've kind of handcuffed themselves in that A, they have the most popular show on television, and B, it's really not a show that I think opens up a lot of possibilities, nor do I think they necessarily want to open the show up to new possibilities. Because if I recall correctly, every season the ratings have gone up, yet the budgets per episode have gone down. And I've really noticed a decrease in people talking about The Walking Dead. Now, every Monday morning at my office would just be buzzing with what had happened on The Walking Dead the previous night, to the point where if I hadn't seen that episode, I would have to go into the office with my ears covered or just say, look, guys, I didn't see last night's show. Please don't spoil it for me. Just, shh. And I knew how deeply The Walking Dead had crossed over into pop culture. And not just that they'd crossed over, but that they'd permeated pop culture to the point where it wasn't just horror fans watching The Walking Dead. And the vast majority of people who were watching the show weren't horror fans. And I remember being asked by several non-horror fans about conventions and what are horror conventions and what happens at horror conventions and how much are horror conventions, because they wanted to go to a convention to meet their favorite Walking Dead cast member. Even on social media, it seemed like there was a huge rush to social media right after that episode on Sunday night to be the first person to get on social media and spoil that episode or talk about it. I don't see people posting very much about it on social media anymore. My coworkers don't talk about The Walking Dead at all anymore. And I've kind of noticed a decrease in Walking Dead cast members at conventions as well. So I'm really curious to know from the horror fans' point of view, and I know that pretty much all of my audience are hardcore horror fans. Why do you think the show's ratings are declining? Were you a fan of the show? Are you still a fan of the show? Are you like me? Have you tuned out? At what point did you tune out? How much longer do you think they can keep the series going? Because even at 11 million views, or 11 million viewers, I'm sorry, again, that's a lot of viewers. The show's not going anywhere anytime soon. And keep in mind as well, the showrunners and the producers and the execs at AMC, they okayed this ballsy move to kill off Glenn. And not just to kill him off, but to kill him off in such a savage manner. And even though the show's still drawing in a lot of people, it's still the number one show in the country, they're keeping track of those rating points. And if they see that the ratings are taking this steep a decline because they've killed off a beloved character, they'll never kill off another beloved character again. They won't even hint at it. They won't even put a beloved character's life on the line now. So that gutsy move by the showrunners will ultimately, again, sort of handcuff them, I think. And in the long run, hurt the show. I don't know. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about The Walking Dead, just in general. Again, 7 years. Wow. And I remember that first season pretty vividly. So that makes me feel a little bit old. And it also reminds me of how good the show was and kind of how stale it became, which is kind of sad. But anyway, sound off in the comment section below. Please let me know what you guys think. If you liked the video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.